Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, everybody. How's it going today? Oh, another day. Another day. Thank you, Eliza. Hey, good morning, Bewitched. I'm up and at 'em today. I got dressed last night or after we ended or I took a shower, got dressed, and then it was like the time just kept getting away and I was like, "Oh my god." And so other people had their lives and I was like, I don't know where to jump in. So I was like, "But I'm dressed." Like that sucks, right? I hate getting ready and then it's like it going to waste. So I was like, "Well, I need to kind of catch up on everything." And I was just so behind yesterday in the entire day. So it was very frustrating. Not to mention, you know how we have the 30-minute delay? It's already fragmented that way. It really, really bothers me. It's hard, you know, especially when you're processing all the things. So anyways, but good morning to everybody. How are y'all? Hey, Mimi of 8. Good morning to you too. I know. I'm not a morning person. Good morning, Miss Dora. Good morning, Eliza and Bewitched and Lorianne. Good morning. Good morning, right? Erin Soper. I don't like the fact that she got to go up there. I don't like that at all. What time? Krisha, what time? For what? This is yesterday's, but I don't know. What do you mean? You saw her face? She straight up was, watch her. She's like, eyebrows raised. This one here is looking a little She's looking a little chubby. Look how she's looking at her. Poor Trina, right? She's looking really like, it looked like maybe a 2x4 hit her face. Just we haven't seen the bruise yet or something. She's not hunched over. She's not dying in pain. She is pain, however. Her and them damn glasses. Tell her nobody likes this. Okay. I was always weird about wearing the shirt tail outside with a blazer jacket, you know. Anyways, I'm no fashion police, but I don't like her. Ugh. Anyway, so I do want to share this with you, though. I don't know. I put it together last night. So it's just a little tribute to Judge Bresky. It's stuck. What the hell? It's supposed to be going through a whole bunch of them. That's gonna piss me off. I tell you what, can't do. Oh. Okay, what the hell? It must be something with Google. Okay, let's start over. Again. Okay, hold on. Let this is so crazy. It must be Mercury retrograde or something. I don't know what's going on here. High five. We get stuck at the clap. What's going on? This is weird. Oh well. Yep. Okay. Well, that was not fun. It was real. It was fun, but it wasn't real fun, huh? Anyways, good morning. Oh, yeah. Wow. I didn't see that yet, but, I feel like I'm so behind. I know. I know. I know. I love Judge Bresky. I can't see what she can't continue with him. Good morning to you too, Nikki. 077. Hey, Trace. What's up? Hey, Mom. Oh, my God. What the hell are you doing up? Well, it must be Mercury retrograde. No, it has nothing to do with that. But good morning. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Who's the guy with you? We have to know. You're found out. Do you think they have pulled her investigator out of the portal yet? I don't know, but I wish somebody come pull me out of the damn portal because this sucks with the whole technology thing, right? No, I don't know. He does seem sleazy. Hey, John Schenkel. Oh shit. Yep. Oh wow. Good morning. What's up? Oh, remember when you would like all us kids would be whatever y'all were playing Boudreaux and stuff, and you would always say, "I'm gonna give you $100," and then you would rip it. You give it, yeah. I want to cash in on that. Ah, well, good morning. Hey, Eliza Joe. Hey, Eliza. Someone posted yesterday that Lori was withdrawing from certain medications. That was why she's been sick. That's well, but it's kind of funny because whenever the judge has asked her if she's on any medications, when I don't really know how that goes, but if he asked if she's on any medications that would maybe make her think or decide things differently, or I don't really know, that would influence her, I guess you could say. Rowan, where can Lori's investigators be? Right. Good morning. What about Nancy Joe? She's here? No. Is she? My Aunt Nancy? JK. I don't want to freak her out. Hey Jody. Oh God, dang, I have my speaker up loud and Donna just came backstage and it says boop. It's like somebody does that, but it's super loud. It has bass and everything. Good morning. We talked to Larry yesterday, Mom. Yeah, we had a good talk. But we always have a good talk. So but anyways, yeah, but that's weird, Mom. You're up early. We're both up early. And I mean, I'm 2 hours ahead, so hey Carla. Hey. Okay. Now, what did she do to him that he won't talk? Exactly. That's exactly what I thought about the investigator, Jeff White. Like, what did she do to him to piss him off and make him not want to turn over files? And he does seem kind of like one of those people who work on these, like, I'm not saying he does, but just the type that go and work on campaigns, and they dig up dirt on the opponent, just to throw shit at him. And I don't know, it kind of seems that way, but here we are. She's good at burning bridges for sure. She's a bridge burner. Yeah. So I don't know. But so I, again, have been trying to catch up since yesterday because my nights and days are cuckoo and mixed up still since I've been born, my mom says. But, I put the wrong damn thing on. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. So let me get over here to my notes. Yeah, so I've been trying to catch up and, I just didn't get to experience it with everybody like I did, like usual. And anyway, so I feel just really, I messed up. So Anyway, so we're just going to kind of talk about the things that happened yesterday in the trial, day one, and then we'll just kind of discuss them. You know what we do here. Mom, you want to come up? You're welcome to come up. Let me know. Okay, so Lori Vallow Daybell trial day one updates, and it says October 2nd, 2019, Gilbert, Arizona. And so these are from Nate's notes, and then I've taken some transcripts and everything and just compiled it into this one document. It says 10:08 a.m. We are in the courtroom. Brandon Boudreaux is here with his wife. Other family and friends are here sitting on the first two rows of one side of the courtroom. Trina K is at the prosecutor's table with Detective Ryan Pillar. Lori just walked in wearing the same damn navy blue pantsuit. She said good morning to her attorneys and sat down. Judge Boreski is on the bench. Saw yesterday in Web Sleuth's the chat last night, somebody said that there's a petition, right, for Judge Boreski to be removed. And anyway, somebody put, oh my God, it was hilarious. They said, we need a petition to make him remove his shirt and tie. I was like, well, can't fault you there. Just picking Judge Boreski, allegedly. Anyways. Oh, we'd get a lot of signatures, I'm sure. Anyway, so it says, so juror number 10 filled out a note, and it says, quote, I want to be excused today. Reason physical. Driving home yesterday, I broke out in cold sweats. I did not sleep well. I must remove myself. It is a condition I had back in 2000 that I thought I could manage, unquote. So this is the elderly gentleman who was he's a veteran. Trina K and Daybell do not object, and he's excused. And it really does sound like, could it be a panic attack? Could it be a reaction to, I don't know, some experience he had before? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm glad. And that way he doesn't have to suffer through all this because it sucks. The judge asks if both sides are ready to proceed. Prosecutor is. Lori asked for a damn sidebar. Her and John Pryor must, they really like those sidebars. I don't like the fact that she can walk up to Judge Boreski. I don't like that at all. I really think they should zap her or put her in the firing squad, because I want to test the theory. I want to test the theory that she's a translated being and they cannot die. I mean, she obviously gets sick, but according to their doctrine, they also heal faster too. So I just want to know, inquiring minds want to know if translated beings actually die. Anyways, so Boreski is on a headset. Lori is on a headset. Prosecutors are on a headset and jurors are not yet in the courtroom. It says jurors are being brought in. Maricopa County Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, that's a mouthful, Trina K, will be giving the opening statement. Lori's paralegal just walked in. And so the prosecution's opening statement is, Trina K approaches the podium. She says, quote, a Jeep Wrangler, a Texas license plate with rear tint. It was parked next to Brandon Boudreaux's driveway, unquote. Goes on to say, when Brandon turned onto his street, he immediately noticed this Jeep because it was parked so close to his driveway. Trina says he saw a Texas plate on the Jeep. He saw the back window open up and a rifle barrel pointed at him, and then bang. And I like the way she did that. She was like, bang. She did. I was like, wow, I like that. Very good. And oh my God, and impactful. Okay, so his window shattered. Brandon hit the accelerator and took off. He called 911 and told the operator where the Jeep was going. Brandon had no idea that the bullet struck his car a few inches from his head. Quote, in the back of that Jeep was the defendant's brother, Alex Cox, who had been lying in wait with a rifle for Brandon to return home. And I mean, really, when you think about this and think about just how that must have felt for Brandon in that moment, I mean, not to mention all the moments since, but just that moment, and he's processing everything. I mean, that's his visceral reaction, is just to, punch it and go. And it's just wild, right? Because there's so many things that happen: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, um, and just trying to um, explain to even to yourself, like, justify what just happened. And anyway, I really feel for him. I really do. And I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad that it's his turn finally to get the justice that he deserves, to have his story told, and to expose Melanie damn Boudreaux and her damn aunt, Lori damn Daybell, right? I mean, I don't know why there's not an indictment for Melanie. I don't know how she has evaded this whole time, but I loved finding out that maybe allegedly she could be, maybe, I think she was the state. Did you say the state? Yeah. Named Melanie Boudreaux as a conspirator. And I was just like, what? What? Because the last I checked, it was person of interest. It was, what was the next step up? I forget. Or that might be. It was like two different like classifications, and she had moved up in ranks, in rankings and stuff. They like being ranked, or they like giving rankings, I'll say. Anywho, uh, it says the likely guilt. This statement directly implicates Lori's brother, Alex Cox, as the shooter, who was, quote, lying in wait, unquote. The prosecution's theory is that Lori conspired with Alex, so Alex's presence and actions are central to proving her guilt. Trina says Lori loaned her Jeep to her brother so that he could kill Brandon. It was October 2nd, 2019. Trina says in June of 2019, Brandon was married to Melanie. Melanie and Lori were close. They both, quote, had it out for Brandon, unquote, Trina says. On June 25th, Brandon and Melanie got into an argument when Melanie learned Brandon was trying to get his wife's temple recommend taken away. That damn temple recommend, y'all, is... I've seen too many places all over the interwebs, right, where holding a card, in your wallet, okay, is there a card that you are like willing to die for and don't, if you have like a Black American Express, you don't count, okay? No, I mean, just seriously, a temple recommend that would get you into into whatever. And I don't know. A lot of these people in and around Lori and Chad, they are really dead set on these temple recommends and also leading another life. Like, there's two different sides of these people, an inverted side and then the one they present to the world. And that's pretty scary, Anywho, true. Oh, no, okay, I already said that. Brandon texted Lori to confront her, because that's what grown-ups do. That's what mature people do. They confront people. They don't sit there and talk about them behind their backs. They don't make up things. They don't just hear it through the grapevine, depend on just, I don't know, the stars to align. They confront people. And the interesting thing is that Lori never would reply back. She never would respond. There's something wrong with her, which we already know. But I mean, that's not good. And that's not Lori in a vacuum. Her whole family does it. Okay. And I mean, I'm not going to say allegedly, because I mean, I've seen quite a bit of things, especially the Reddit post from, I don't know, the recent Reddit post about some emails. We'll go over those too if I stop stuttering. But I mean, I'm just like, here you go. It's very, I don't know. I don't have it's just wrong. I don't have adequate words, I guess. So, anywho, the likely guilt, it says the prosecution directly states that Lori loaned her Jeep for the purpose of killing Brandon, suggesting a clear intent and participation in the conspiracy. The mention of Lori and Melanie quote, having it out for Brandon, unquote, and Lori's alleged involvement in the marital issues establishes a potential motive. Not to mention, Melanie was going to, if Brandon were to die, Melanie would have received all the money for their house. She would have gotten custody of all 4 of her children, and no telling how many, if any at all, would be alive to this today, right now. She would have, since I'm just basing this theory off of what happened to Lori, with Lori, who Melanie views as a mother figure. Okay. And so when you're married 10 years or more, you qualify when your spouse dies for Social Security. And I can bet my ass on it that was going to be another thing that Aunt Lori would have helped Mini-Me, to accomplish. Anything to exploit everything. And that way it's me, for sure. Then we know that through Zalima's testimony, we learned that Lori had said that they could live off Melanie Boudreaux's money, that Zalima wouldn't have to work if she moved to Rexburg, but they need hugs there too. Okay. She was a cuddler. So for what it's worth, right? Anyway, so, I mean, there were quite a few reasons and motives to get Brandon out of the way. And I mean, that seems to be par for the course. And I heard Megan mention it last night. She said that somebody mentioned in her chat, and I'm like, I've been saying this. It happened at a kid exchange, which happened with Joe and Tylee. Alex attacked Joe. Charles and JJ. Charles was picking up JJ. Here we are again. So this to me tells me Lori is the mastermind, because this is a set pattern. Okay. And so there's a kid exchange with Brandon and Melanie. To me, it's just like guaranteed, they're going to be able to run across you. They're going to know your time, your date. They're going to know where you're at. And I remember reading the other day, it was some filings between Brandon and Melanie during their divorce. And he did say, so, I mean, these are just in court filings. They're not true. I mean, they're not proven, in a court of law, so to speak. But he said that Melanie had given their son a watch with GPS technology, that can tell your GPS coordinates. And so it makes me wonder, if that's true, then that could say that while they didn't know, or Melanie didn't know, that Brandon was just going to go to the gym and work out afterwards. So, but it seems like that would have been communicated, maybe. I don't know. But she could have known maybe whenever her son was dropped off, or, who had the watch. I don't know. Just something to chew on. Just more disturbing crap is what it is. So Trina, at 10:25 a.m., Trina says the jury will learn about an incident, which really sucks. Oh my God. I'm like, I wish you could just say all the things, because those people, you'd have to go pick all their jaws up off the floor. They would need reconstructive surgery. Okay. Because their jaws would be permanently on the floor if they knew all the things. And I mean, that's the sucky part of the justice system, to me, in my opinion. But you do what you have to do. And I think I have a whole new respect for the legal system, how all this stuff works, because how Trina K had to do all that maneuvering with the last trial for my Uncle Charles, leaving out the mental health cries for help that he tried to achieve for Lori. I was just like, how are you going to do this? I've thought about this for 6 years. It's like, oh, I did not see it going down like this. And I just was very frightened, because there's no way in my mind you could have done that, or it wasn't a thing. I didn't have 6 years to wrap my mind around all the obstacles. So yeah, it was like, which is not hard to do. But anyways, so does not mention Charles's name or the murder, but says the police were taking photographs at the scene. I remember seeing this photo. It came out with the photo evidence, from Chandler. And because in one of the photos, it was, of course, some photos taken of like my uncle laying on the floor, right? And one of them, it wasn't redacted, it wasn't blurred, and I was like, "Oh my god, I did not, I did not want to see that." But it's in that roll of evidence photos from the house in Chandler. So I remember seeing the Jeep. It was just not, they didn't take a picture of the Jeep directly, but they took a picture of the garage, and the Jeep was in the garage. And yes, there was no window tint, or if there was, it was just factory or, something along those lines. Excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna go check in with y'all. Oh, hey, Nancy Joe, right there on the screen. Excuse me. God dang, gotta clear my throat again. Here's a Temu version of Jesus' favorite. Amen. Right. Good morning, Jet Set J. Good morning to you. Melanie says, still allowed to be around her children is what amazes me. Wow. No matter what, they're being used as pawns, whether it's in, by their mother, their aunt, law enforcement. I mean, just, I don't know, or the court system just saying, well, here, just all eyes are on you. And we're just going to trust the fact that, all you're paranoid. So they're being used as pawns, in my opinion. And it's really upsetting. Very upset. I'm sure it's really upsetting for Brandon. And you thought you had an ex from hell, right? Anyways, they're like, hold my non-caffeinated coffee. Okay. Okay, so it says Alex also had a Ford F-150. The Jeep and pickup were in Chandler in July. I have all these photos. I have the Rogue. I have the Ford F-150. I have the Jeep also from Rexburg. When they did that. I need to put them on my Patreon there too. All right. Lori drove the Jeep. Alex drove. Huh? I didn't know that. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if Lori drove the Jeep. I know she drove the Rogue for sure. We have evidence of that. And it was in her and Alex's name, which was interesting. Wonder what she did with her Q or her Infiniti Q45. I don't know. Who knows? And then why would you get a vehicle with your brother's name on it? I did an analysis the other day, y'all, and it was highly disturbing because I took all the information from those pages. Like I have to run it, I have to like screenshot it or download it, just a certain number of pages from the Gilbert police report. And then, so it was all the pages where it talked about all the evidence, the blood stains, the DNA, the panties. Remember the panties and the clothes that were in the Rogue, and then they took samples from Alex's truck. They took them from the Rogue. They tested Colby, Kelsey, Brandon, all of his kids, and Tylee. I mean, not Tylee, but. So it's really hard to understand, right? So I just took all that information and I fed it to my Chat GPT, and I was like, oh God, I don't know if I wanted to know that. it was, and I mean, that's according to Chat GPT, but it just kind of takes a lot of things that I'm like, I don't know what to make of it. It's a lot of technical things, and it was not pretty at all. And I've debated on whether to share it. I made it into a video form because I don't know. I don't want to start shit. I just also, I don't know. We're past that. We're past Idaho. She's already been convicted. He's already been convicted of that. And so I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. And I'm trying to find it real quick. Or I actually am getting sidetracked. So let me just stop. Go back to, well, that's Adam. Let's see. Let's fix this. We need to be in the right trial. Hey, Mom, there's you. Let me go back. Hold on. Hold up. Looked like she was getting her shorts out of her yang right there. I'm sorry. Looked like she was, anyways. All right. Hooker. She's still a hooker. She's okay. If I just sit here and stare at her, though, I will just sit here and just say ignorant things. Like she's dumb, she's stupid. Okay, where am I at? Okay. Trina says Alex and Lori then moved to Rexburg to be close to Lori's soon-to-be husband, Chad Daybell. It says Lori drove the Jeep, allegedly. Alex drove the pickup. As Brandon and Melanie were going through divorce, they put their house up for sale. The house sold and Brandon needed to rent a home. Brandon's plan was to stay in his own house, until it closed and then move into the rental. Trina says, quote, "You will see a text message that Melanie asked Brandon for his new address. They had children in common and he sent her the address," unquote. And might I add, Melanie asked for the address, purposely asked for the address. Like, that's not obvious now, it's like, girl, they're not smart. We knew that though. So it says, quote, no, it says this was on September 17th. Quote, "You'll learn that Melanie was the only person who knew Brandon's address," unquote. So we've already seen that evidence, right? Yesterday when Brandon was on the stand. Okay, and so this says likely guilt. The prosecution highlights that only Melanie, Lori's niece, and someone who, quote, "had it out for Brandon," unquote, knew Brandon's new address, suggesting a way the conspirators obtained the target's location. Yep. But then why, and it just baffles the mind. Why the hell would Alex Lamar Cox Google it? Why would he Google the effing address? They're so stupid. Is there another word I can use? It's not so blasé, same old, same old. Anyways, so it says that Brandon moved into the rental sooner than he planned because Melanie left town to go to Rexburg from September 26th through 29th. One has to wonder, did she use her kids as pawns? I mean, I don't even want to go further because it's pretty rhetorical. Did Melanie scheme even further back than that and figure that if she can dangle her children visiting with Brandon over his head in order for him to move out of their house, their marital house, sooner, was I mean, I don't know, because I mean he jumped, okay, and it makes one wonder. So he moved into the rental sooner than he planned because Melanie left town to go to Rexburg from September 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. Yep. And then, I mean, there's a receipt that was found. I forget if it was in the truck or the Jeep, but it was a Mexican restaurant in Mesa on October 1st. So it's like, damn, I mean, she just got back on the damn 29th, and here it is just a day and a half later, and he's already in the area of Brandon Boudreaux's house, and it's so eerie. That is so freaking eerie. In the weeks leading up to the shooting, Alex put tint on the windows of the Jeep at a business in Rexburg. He paid $200 to put on the darkest tint possible. Trina says, and she plans to show photos. Exactly. Quote, "This is the first action of this defendant, Lori Vallow, in the conspiracy," unquote. "Alex did it to, quote, lie in wait so nobody could see him with the rifle," unquote. Likely guilt. The dark window tinting on the Jeep attributed to Alex and called, quote, "the first action in the conspiracy," unquote, by the prosecution suggests premeditation and an effort to conceal the shooter, linking back to Lori's alleged involvement. Then it says 10:29 a.m. Lori went to Walmart in Idaho Falls around this time and bought a burner phone. Dumb broad. They had other cell phones, and Alex's phone was using Wi-Fi inside the damn Walmart because they are so bright. I tell you, when the burner phone was purchased. So there you go. God, morons. Anyways, whatever. Quote. No, not quote yet. Lori's phone was utilizing cell towers near the Walmart at the same time. Quote, Lori Vallow and Alex Cox knew he would need a phone when he drove down here, unquote. They bought the burner phones so Alex could be in touch with Lori. Quote, but Alex made a mistake. With burner phones, you can use it to access Google. Alex accessed his Gmail account, unquote. Dumbass. Likely guilt. The guilt indicator, the G meter. We'll call it the G meter. There it is. Instead of her gay meter, everybody got your shades. We'll wear sunglasses and we'll call it the guilt meter. Tags out at 100%. The purchase of a burner phone by Lori, followed by Alex's use of it and connection to his Gmail, is presented as direct evidence of their coordination and a desire for covert communication related to the alleged crime. Oh, it gets better. But wait, there's more. 10:31 a.m. Alex searched for places to practice shooting. Well, he needed to continue to go because he really is a shitty shot. Okay. I'm just saying. I mean, there were 3 that, guns were involved. And I mean, Alex being the shooter, the shit shot that he is, he only killed my uncle. And so 1 out of 3, that's not very good. Tell your mom. I don't know. Whew. Anyway, so it says Alex searched for places to practice shooting, window tinting, and angles for trajectory. On October 1st, he searched the address where Brandon lived. After the shooting, Alex searched for directions on how to get away on back roads, which I really do believe I have to go and re-listen so I'll know if I have this right. But the other day when Rich Robertson was on courtroom with Nate Eaton, he talked about how October 31st, 2019 is whenever he was he had found where Melanie, she was at a rental house and there was a U-Haul truck there. Alex was there. That's whenever a lot of Brandon and Melanie's kids' furniture and belongings ended up on the curb with a free sign, and so he took pictures of, he's a freaking private investigator is what they do. And so he put a tracker on the back of the U-Haul or on the U-Haul. And when they were going, Melanie and Alex were traveling and moving her from Gilbert or wherever, Arizona, up to Rexburg to live next door to her Aunt Lori. Okay. And just, in the same complex as her Uncle Alex. Okay. That they took a lot. I want to say this is what Rich Robertson said, but I'm not sure. I corroborate this, but if so, it's just interesting. I believe Rich said that Alex took a lot of back roads. They even parked in, I forget what town, but I don't know. Too much info. TMI. So after the shooting, okay, yeah. So he searched for back roads. He searched, searched. I keep wanting to say research. He searched Moab, Fillmore, and eventually Idaho Falls as he made his way back to Rexburg. Oh, Hexburg, huh? That's what okay. I hope so. Y'all, prayers, good vibes, all the good. Look at him. I just noticed that. That's hilarious. What? I'm going to play it with sound.
Although the state has alleged.
Oh.
Although the state.
Jury that what is said in.
Okay, I'll leave it alone.
All right, I'll just
Look how
remind
they're
the
looking
jury
at them.
that what is.
This is something though, real quick, because this is something that Tosh, a previous juror from Getting Justice for My Uncle in the last trial, they said that Lori would roll her eyes or smirk And so it looks like she's doing it here. She does not like being told what to do.
That as well, since he's not party to this.
Break that spirit. But Judge Boreski is like,
all right, I'll just remind the jury that what is said in opening statements is not evidence. It's not sworn testimony. Please proceed.
oh, yeah. Poor thing. Poor thing. You know, here we go. I'll play it again. If it'll play all the way. Yeah, I don't know why it gets stuck. These are GIFs. I think that's you use a J for a GIF, and I never know what to say. Is it a GIF or a GIF? And so I think somebody told me one day it was a GIF. But anyways, I think it got stuck. And so, for what it's worth, okay. Palette cleanser. Okay. Likely guilt. Alex's internet searches for shooting practice, trajectory, and Brandon's address before the shooting, followed by searches for escape routes after, strongly indicate premeditation and a planned attempt on Brandon's life, supporting the conspiracy charge. All right, I'm going to turn my camera off so I can smoke. I just realized earlier, I was like, uh-oh, wrong camera. Wrong candid camera. Stop cam. Here, get full loho. You're welcome. Don't leave. Okay. Police searched Lori's Google account. She searched, quote, how to get the back seat out of my Jeep, unquote. Trina says they removed the seat so he could better lie in wait to shoot Brandon. It was premeditation, Trina says. On September 30th, which is my brother's birthday, around 4:30 p.m., Alex Cox's phone moved from his apartment in the Rexburg complex to Lori's unit. From then on, for the next few days, it did not move. It stayed with Lori. Meanwhile, the burner phone started moving to Arizona. Likely guilt. Lori's Google search for removing the Jeep's back seat, explained by the prosecution as facilitating Alex's ability to lie in wait, suggest active preparation for the shooting. So the movement of Alex's phone to Lori's unit while the burner phone traveled to Arizona further indicates coordination. It also further indicates some covert, sneaky ass shit. Okay. It is just, that is premeditated, that's calculated. Okay. So much. Yeah, we'll get there. Here's the next thing. An hour before the shooting, Lori had Alex Cox's phone, his primary phone. Lori had her brother's phone call her phone to make it look like he was still in Rexburg instead of Gilbert. That, quote, fake call lasted about 24 minutes, Trina says. Both hit the cell phone tower in Rexburg, quote, more evidence that she was a co-conspirator, unquote. Hello. This alleged fake call, designed to create an alibi for Alex, if proven, is strong evidence of Lori's active participation in the conspiracy and an attempt to mislead investigators. And again, calculated, premeditated. Like, oh, I mean, for real, my mom was on there, is on their list. I've never seen her name be removed off their damn list. Okay. You ever study Ervil LeBaron and his cult? The victims of his cult, of him, they were dying while he was in prison, and they were dying even after he died. Okay. So I don't, no. Okay. No, ma'am. So Trina mentions license plate readers caught the Jeep moving from Rexburg to Arizona. The jurors will see photos on the way to Gilbert. I remember finding one of the photos, I think, a long time ago. Like, this is way early on in the case. It's a screenshot that I have. And I was like, no, there's no way that could be it, you know? Like, but it, hold on, I might be able to pull it up. Let me take a gander real quick. Well, come on, technology. Just one day. Just give me one day. Okay. Let me reload it. All right. Hold up. Jeep. Let's see what we're gonna have. What we're gonna find. Okay, I'm just looking through them. What is this? Oh, it's a slideshow I could be showing you instead. Yeah. These are pictures from the evidence photos that I do have and other photos, apparently. CP Quint. Whoa, let me go back. I feel like we are driving in an off-road vehicle. Now, once I felt that, I felt like we were in Tylee's Jeep. What? Oh, okay, I know what that is. Yep. They're so busted. They're so busted, y'all. Oh yeah, remember that Jason Miles post looking to buy a used 4-door, even though Tylee's was a 2-door, used Jeep 4-door Wrangler. Anyone know a guy? And that's July 12th, the day after my uncle's murder. Tell me they don't communicate without telling me they don't communicate in symbols, okay? And passive aggressive things like this. And okay. Brandon was about to pull into his driveway when he saw a gun with a silencer poke out of the Jeep's window. He said he heard a gunshot or a bang as his driver's side window shattered. Poor dude. Police later confirmed that the vehicle was registered to Charles Vallow. She divorced him. I remember this report was by Justin Lum. And they kind of did, I hope it shows the next screenshot, because they went and did a little recon in the neighborhood. It was a pretty good report. Well, I won't be able to see it. Too little. Okay. I mean, it's kind of there, but yeah. We've already heard one neighbor testify to that yesterday, about a Marcos, I think his name is. According to the police report, Alex Cox, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell prepared to murder Brandon Boudreaux by tinting the windows of the Jeep Wrangler, removing the back seat and the back wheel, and placing them in a rented storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho. Plus, she rented under Lori Ryan. Sneaky, sneaky boy. Sneaky, sneaky. So he fired a single shot at Boudreaux and missed. Cox then drove back to Idaho. He has been unable to face charges since he died on December 12, 2019, at his home in Arizona for what the coroner said were natural causes, and we will not believe that. Ever. Come on. Eyewitness accounts confirmed that a dark-colored Jeep Wrangler with a Texas plate, dark tinted windows, and no wheel attached to the rear was idling on the wrong side of the street immediately west of Brandon's direction. That's from the police report. Boudreaux told investigators they left the home around 7:25 a.m. with his 4 children. When he returned home around 9:14 a.m., he saw the rear window of the Jeep open. Boudreaux said he saw the barrel of a gun pointed at him and the gun was fired. The bullet struck the door frame on the front driver's side of Boudreaux's Tesla. Yeah. They sneaky, sneaky. Yep. Okay, let me get back over here to my reading stuff. Welcome in, everybody. Okay, so the next bullet point I guess we'll go over is Trina mentions the license plate readers caught the Jeep moving from Rexburg to Arizona. And I remember when we first learned of who the witnesses were going to be, we were like, why is a DEA investigator on here? Were there drugs? Oh my God. And, Jason reminded me that along the interstate, especially from Mexico, basically the Mormador, what we call the Mormador, kind of like the Bible Belt, but it's the Mormador. I mean, there's a lot of trafficking of all kinds of things going from border to border. So, they have these license plate readers along the way. And so that is why the DEA agent will testify, I believe. So, let's see, the jurors will see photos on the way to Gilbert. The police later recovered the Jeep in Rexburg with a search warrant. They found a receipt on October 1st, 2019 from Mesa, the day before the shooting. It was at Alex's obvious favorite, Mexican restaurant on Power Road. Alex was Googling an address on Power Road around the time the receipt was printed. He should have wrote it down. Okay. I mean, but whatever. The bar is low. Trina mentions the storage unit in Rexburg with Lori and Alex putting the rear seat into the storage unit. The jurors will see video of it. I'm so glad. Likely indicating guilt. The video of Lori and Alex putting the Jeep's rear seat. No. Because that was Chad that was Lori and Chad that put the seat and the tire into the storage unit. But it was Alex and Lori that went into the storage unit, grabbed the wheel and the seat and put it back into, they took it away from after the fact. Anyways, but this shows that the seat was removed to facilitate Alex lying in wait, suggesting a deliberate act of preparation for the alleged crime. Melanie knew Brandon and her kids the morning of the shooting. Melanie knew Brandon and her, had. Okay. I'm like, what? Melanie knew Brandon had her kids the morning of the shooting. They were going to do a child exchange after taking kids to school. After Brandon left the house to drop off the children, the Idaho burner phone moves to his residence from the temple, might I add, and begins waiting for him, just like with Tammy. Alex kept the Jeep running as he waited for Brandon to return. Quote, what Melanie did not know is that Brandon was going to the gym after dropping the kids off at school, unquote. It was leg day. That's what Brandon told the initial investigator that was on scene immediately following the shooting of Brandon. It points to likely guilt. The burner phone tracking Alex to Brandon's residence and Alex waiting implies a planned ambush. The detail that Melanie did not know Brandon's post drop-off plans could suggest the conspirators were relying on general routine, or that Melanie was not fully aware of the specifics of the ambush, but still contributed to the plan by providing the address. So, there's always that. Let's see. Let me do this one. Okay. A neighbor saw the Jeep parked the wrong way on the road, noticed it was the Jeep had tinted windows and was running. Quote, he thought it stood out as unusual, unquote, Trina says. The neighbor noticed the license plate. This was around 30 minutes before Brandon arrived back home. Alex fired one shot, but it did not hit Brandon, Trina says. Brandon was driving a Tesla and there was no frame around the window. It's just the way the car is designed. The window actually goes into the car. The shot hit the frame of the vehicle. There was damage to the window and frame right above Brandon's head. How are they going to say there's no frame and then say twice there's frame? I'm just saying. That's kind of weird. There was damage to the window and frame right above Brandon's head. When Brandon took off, the window remained in the door. He drove away and then eventually circled back around and went into his driveway. When he put the car in park, the door opened and the whole window just shattered. Brandon called 911 and waited for the police to arrive. Jurors will hear the 911 call. Alex was back in Rexburg on October 3rd. Lori and Alex went back to the storage unit and removed the rear tire and seat from the storage unit. They also Googled, quote, news in Gilbert, unquote, to find out what the police knew, because they are so smart. The action of Lori and Alex returning to the storage unit to remove the tire and seat, presumably to reassemble the Jeep, and then Googling news in Gilbert strongly suggests an attempt to monitor the aftermath of the shooting and evade detection, pointing to their involvement. Also think about how Melanie, Boudreaux, and Alex were talking to Melanie Gibb, and according to Melanie Gibb, they told her to go check on Brandon or something, and so she did. And so that kind of resembles, Googling news in Gilbert to find out what police knew, and, in the aftermath of the shooting, just, I don't know. They're sadistic. Police asked Brendan if he had any enemies. He told them about Lori and Alex. He said Lori lived in Texas. He told them about the incident on July 11th that involved Lori and Alex, the shooting of Charles. Gilbert learned Lori and Alex were learning. Gilbert learned Lori and Alex were living in Rexburg. They contacted Rexburg Police Department, and on November 1st, police went to Pioneer Road and saw Lori, Alex, and Chad Daybell. They didn't see the Jeep. They went back on November 4th, and this is whenever Detective Hermosillo's testimony will come in. This is likely whenever the storage unit videos will come into play. I'm just guessing. Tire was back on it, and the rear seat was back in it. They took the Jeep, and on November 8th, Gilbert police went to Idaho to process it. Also, know that the VIN number was covered up as well. Trina says jurors will learn about gunshot residue. The Jeep was processed for GSR, and it was found on the rear of the Jeep. Quote, this is consistent with the gun being fired from the rear of the Jeep, unquote. Gilbert also connected DNA and got a blood profile from Alex. DNA was collected from steering wheel and other parts of the Jeep that matched Alex. Well, I am gonna share that other report with you. Maybe not today, but sometime soon. The presence of gunshot residue (GSR) in the Jeep's rear and Alex Cox's DNA matching samples from the vehicle provide strong forensic evidence linking Alex to the shooting from inside of the Jeep, which supports the prosecution's claim of his role in the conspiracy. So jurors will see a map of Alex and Lori's cell phone activity along with the burner phone. The only phone number that burner phone ever called was Chatty Daddy, Chad Daybell, Lori's soon-to-be husband. I'll say that's Alex's brother-in-law, okay? Melanie's uncle, or AKA, she called him Dad. She called Chad Daybell Dad. That phone tracked to cell towers near Brandon's home. This cell phone tracking data showing the burner phone allegedly purchased by Lori and Alex near Brandon's home and its only contact being Chad Daybell suggests a clear communication chain among the alleged conspirators. Trina says they will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Lori conspired with Alex to kill Brandon. She asked jury to find her guilty. Trina is finished. Her total time was around 25 minutes. And then Lori approaches the lectern, right? Dun, 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 dun. That's what I hear. Welcome in. Hey, lawyer Lori is going to confuse some words, and she will ask, if you had an enema. So our court reporters now talking into that cup looking thing. There's both. They can do both. I've seen. There's some that like that. Like to speak into the little, I forget what they call it. And then there's some, it keeps them quiet. That way they're not disturbing anybody. So, and then there are some that just type, but it's kind of crazy. I mean, at least this, while I think maybe she should not be in the camera view, I believe that it's quieter than the tick, tick, tick. You know how they have sometimes the people that are just like, or the reporters that are like tapping the hell out of their keyboard. Okay. Keyboard warrior. No, I appreciate what they do. Yeah, that is disturbing. Another disturbing piece, right, Carla? Mm-hmm. Angela reminds us justice for Brandon and his family. I really hope so. Y'all, and a lot of people are like, well, it's like a lot of people ask, why is Kay there? Why, this basically like it's, I guess people compartmentalize it so much, and I'm like, this is the last leg of this entire conspiracy. This is one big ass conspiracy. And so I don't feel I need to justify why I'm here or any of us are here. We're here because this is the rest of the damn story. Paul Harvey said, love you, Mom. Hey, have fun. Oh, no, I lie. That is not the right thing to say. I'm so sorry. Whew. Okay. Tell Brandon and his wife, I said that, we're back here behind him and them. And, we're rooting for him. And it's going to be, we know they're going to convict her. So that's that. But, yeah. Love you. And yeah, have fun. Do have fun. Yeah. Enjoy your time up there. You deserve it. Love you. Yeah. Okay, let me get back over here. It shouldn't be much longer. And then, so Lori says, here we are at trial. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I didn't miss. Oh my God. The judicial system can be hard to understand at times. No, Lori, just for you, because you make it difficult. Anyway, so Lori begins. She says, in order for someone to be charged as a crime, Trina objects and says this is argumentative, not an opening statement. Judge reminds Lori, this is not a time to argue. Lori's like, let's get it on. No, Lori says sometimes the state charges defendant with a crime and that she has been charged with a very serious crime. Lori brings up the grand jury. Trina objects and asks the jury to strike, or the judge to strike. Judge tells Lori she cannot mention grand jury and tells the jury to ignore it. I don't know why this is writing it this way. Lori says the prosecutor and police were not there. This is Lori's, this is her MO. This is her line. Nobody was there. She told Colby he wasn't there. She has said this in her last trial. If she could have said it in her first one, she would have been like, you weren't there. Okay. She's told this to everybody, it seems. And so it's interesting. It's nice, though. I have to say it's a good break to see Tylee not being her scapegoat this go round. Okay. I mean, I was wondering, Jason was like, being just facetious a little bit, back in the last trial when Lori was blaming Tylee for every damn thing. Okay. And he was like, well, in the next one for Brandon's trial, he was like, I want to see, is it Tylee's fault there too? I mean, because the child was dead at that point, so it's like, who's her scapegoat in this one? And I mean, it kind of looked like yesterday whenever this part came up about, Melanie being a conspirator, that kind of looked to me like she was maybe inching Melanie, closer to the scapegoat edge, which is mind-boggling because we always thought that Alex would be the scapegoat, right? Because he's dead. That's like the whole point, right? So it's just interesting to see the spin on this, her twisted mind. Lori says a conspiracy is when two or more people, what? This is not right. Lori talks about Judas conspired to kill Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, which Trina objects and says this does not deal with the trial. And it's also, is she comparing herself to biblical, to the savior of the world again? That's what I kind of thought about. Trina, okay, so the judge tells Lori she's arguing. Judge will allow it briefly, but may cut her off. Lori talks about Cain conspiring to kill Abel. Another not good example. Okay. Lori says jury will find that there was no animosity toward Brandon or herself. She says she had a friendly relationship with Brandon. And again, this is the thing that Lori does. And the people, Chad does it. They do this thing where if they're giggling about it, if they're smiling when they say it, if they are being fake, basically. Okay, so, oh my God, in the jail phone call between Chad and Lori, the day before the children were found, June 8th, 2020. So the kids were found June 9th, 2020, which we're almost on that anniversary. 3 more days. That they were giggling back and forth, and it was weird. It was so weird. And so yesterday when Lori was, I forget who she was. Oh, it was the police officer, McDermott, I believe. And she kind of was giggling when she was mentioning something to him or questioning him about something. And she giggled when she did it. But it was like, it's not, that doesn't mean you're nice. It doesn't mean that you're a good person. It doesn't mean that you don't mean any ill intent behind that. It just means you are an effing narcissist, you bitch. Like I'm being serious. I mean, it's so passive aggressive and disgusting and obvious now, like she's like a specimen, man. I don't know. Too bad they don't do lobotomies anymore, huh? Allegedly. Anyway, so Trina objects, says that Lori's testifying. Judge asked Lori and Trina to approach the bench, which I think she should have got zapped for that. I don't care if he asked her or not. But who listens to me? So Lori's statements about prosecutors and police, quote, making up a story and filling in the gaps, unquote, directly challenges the prosecution's narrative, I guess, and implies that the evidence is fabricated or misinterpreted. Her claim of having a friendly relationship with Brandon contradicts the prosecution's motive and suggests she would not conspire to harm him. She can say whatever she wants. Okay. You can, oh my God, I just forgot that saying. You can whatever in one hand and shit in the other one. Oh my God. It has left my mind. There's also, I'm trying to think about Lori's statements about prosecutor and police. Yeah. The conspiracy between the Gilbert Police Department and Brandon. Okay. And I'm like, wow. Wow, lady. Wow. Right. What the hell is in that woman's mind besides a bunch of caca? Right. So then she contradicts that when she says that, hey, CSI, good to see you here. Yeah, hope in one hand, shit in the other, wish in one hand. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You're right, Robbie. Thank you, Hope Grace. Conspiracy. Brandon and Gilbert Police Department have a conspiracy against Lori, right? I mean, just Lori. She thinks, obviously, because she made it. I was in a whole other state. I was not in Arizona. I was in, a whole other state. And I'm like, that doesn't mean conspiracy has no boundaries. Okay. It has no borders. So that's not relevant. Another thing is the conspiracy between Gilbert and Brandon that she's alleging. But then she contradicts that by saying that Brandon didn't even trust the Gilbert Police Department, that he hired his own private investigator. I'm like, I mean, I like punching holes in their stories. This is one of my favorite things to do, I think. Oh, hey. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time talking today again. So they have a brief discussion at the bench. Lori goes back to the podium. She doesn't limp back, right? She says that Melanie and Lori were very close, like a mother and daughter. And I thought, well, that's untrue, right? Because if y'all had a relationship like a mother and daughter, she would be dead, like your real daughter, and your son, and yeah, all the people, all the victims, right? She said Melanie and Lori were very close, like a mother and daughter, because Melanie's mother died. She says she was close to Melanie and Brandon's families. They spent holidays and other events together. Lori went to their wedding and was at the birth of all 4 of their children. Quote, I was also very close to all 4 of their children, unquote, which begs the question. 2 of Melanie and Brandon's children were rated dark at that time. We don't know. And I mean, I remember reading text messages not too within this past week or two, refreshing myself on the case. And early July or mid July, I'm sorry, Blake was dark. Okay, Brighton. I don't know exactly when Brighton, but Chad Daybell is messaging Lori, and they were on a trip, and he was like, do you want me to turn up the paint on those 2 3s? And she's like, nah, just wait. And he's like, I love you tremendously, well, gloriously, whatever the hell he says with all his nasty innuendo. He's so gross, y'all. Oh my God. I feel so sorry for Tammy. I do. Whew. But the good thing, and I know this is, a lot of people have different thoughts on this, but I don't know. This is one way to look at it, but they're all murdered. They're dead. The victims are, but they no longer have to deal with the abuse, the daily beatdowns, mental, physical, spiritual, financial, being exploited every turn. Ugh. Anyways, it's just a comforting thought for us mere mortals. Okay. So Lori says jury will hear Brandon say someone shot a gun at him, but he was not hurt. Okay. This immediately brought me back to Carl from the last trial, who was like, they were showing me trajectories and, all the things, but nothing pointed to a conspiracy. I'm like, the fact that the man, Charles, was dead on the floor with bullet holes in him, that is the conspiracy. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Not everybody thinks the way I do, which is, hey, but I'm just saying, like, if the bullet, like, he would not be dead on the floor had there not been a conspiracy put into place. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So some people, I wonder if they will get caught on this. Do they have clear understanding of what a conspiracy is according to the state and the jury instructions? Like, I would really drill that and bring that home. So Brandon immediately, she says, quote, Brandon immediately blamed me, which begs the question, was I an enemy to Brandon? Hopefully by the end of this trial, we will all have the answer to this question. Well, somebody send her the memo, because we all do. And then she's just so late. Okay. This likely points to innocence if we're looking at just what she said, as argued by Lori. Okay. Lori emphasizes her close familial ties to Brandon and Melanie, suggesting a lack of motive for harming him. You can say whatever you want. Her highlighting Brandon's immediate blame on her, or of her, while simultaneously questioning if she was his enemy, implies that Brandon's accusation might be biased or unfounded, rather than evidence of her guilt. Speaking of evidence, right? So it says, Lori says that Brandon hired a private investigator and had access to the VIN number of the Jeep. Actually, it has nothing to do with the investigator, but it has all to do because Uncle Charles had wanted to put whatever. He was looking for insurance for the Jeep whenever they bought, it was bought for Tylee, and Brandon sold insurance. So, that's why he had it on file. So she says that Brandon was not happy with the police. So here we go. So I guess he's not conspiring with them no more. So that's why he went and hired a private investigator. Anyways, she says he changed the color of the Jeep from a puke green, which was actually the officer. She said all kinds of chartreuse. She says she named all kinds of greens. Okay. Which is Lori and Chad's favorite color. If you think about it, they were into green Tuesdays, which green, if anybody looks at the symbolism in all this and the inversion of Chad and Lori and other people like them, there's plenty more. Green is the color for Satan. So you do what you will with that. I'm trying to think of what else. Anyways, I'll think of it. Lori says that Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed how they could show a financial gain to Melanie. So this is after the effing fact. First off, how I just realized that. Do you understand? Like, how can the state or the police department, Gilbert Police Department, and Brandon be conspiring and gaining anything effing financial from effing a housewife? Okay, not effing her, but from Melanie, who was like, I let Brandon take care of all the finances because I was a full-time mom. No, he also allowed you to, he afforded you the privilege, is what it's called, to be able to stay home and raise you and his children. Okay. So here we are, and she's acting like she's the hot shit. It's me. Everybody else is to blame. This is a narcissistic looking picture, in my opinion. So Lori says Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed how they could show a financial gain to Melanie if Brandon died. Well, yeah, that's what investigators do. That's what investigators do. I just realized that too. But I mean, if she's implying a conspiracy, which it seems to imply that she does, it's like, this is after the fact, moron. This is after Brandon is already shot at. That's how he met Detective Pillar. Okay. So you're saying that he's just investigating, basically. Thank you. Okay. Lori says this is what it could. So here you go. This is what a conspiracy looks like. All right. My head hurts now. And we still have trial to do today. God, she's impossible. And I feel so sorry for Joe and Charles. Okay. Lori says Melanie is named. This about made me cut back flips. Lori says Melanie is named as a co-conspirator by the state, but has never been charged. Trina motions to strike, and I'm like, tell me what you know. Judge explains that jurors will receive instruction. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Trina motions to strike. Judge explains jurors will receive instruction to ignore that. Lori points out that Brandon hired a PI and was, quote, not happy with police, unquote, implying that his actions or testimony might be motivated by dissatisfaction with the official investigation, which would not have occurred had the conspiracy not taken place. Okay. So I'm glad we could put that behind us. Tell everybody, okay? Her claim that Brandon, okay, I already said that. No, I'll say it again. Her claim that Brandon and Detective Pillar discussed, quote, financial gain to Melanie if Brandon died, unquote, attempts to shift suspicion towards Melanie and the police. Suggesting a scapegoat. No, suggesting an alternative theory of conspiracy that does not involve Lori directly. The assertion that Melanie is an uncharged co-conspirator also tries to redirect blame. Scapegoat. Lori says, and remember when I think Ian allegedly said that Melanie allegedly said that she would go to jail, go to prison or whatever, rather than roll on her aunt. Remember those days? Well, it turns out not reciprocated by Aunt Lolo. Lori says she was not in Arizona at the time of the shooting. Well, I mean, I wonder. It makes me wonder. Did she astral project there like she likes to do? Did she travel via her portal? Okay. I mean, I wasn't there for sure. I was not there. So I can't confirm nor deny. But Lori is so adamant, and she is notorious for saying, you weren't there. I was there. Okay. Right? Exactly. That's why we're here. We are here because you were there. So Lori says she was not in Arizona at the time of the shooting. She says she was close with Alex. We heard. And he was a comedian. He was not funny. Okay. Who kept the family laughing. That's because you're all twisted. He died in December 2019 of natural causes and is not here to defend himself. Lori says Trina objects. And says Alex is not here to testify. Judge says what is said in opening statements is not evidence. Lori says there are several co-conspirators in this case, but she's the only one being charged with a crime. Quote, the state has 100%, and I can't stand this. It pisses me off when she 100% and like tries to quantify things. That's how they justified murdering my family and all the victims. Adjusting pain tolerances, turning the pain up percentages, and to where they justify them becoming zombies and being possessed. And so the body has to die in order, it just is so, yeah, it's just jacked up. It doesn't make any damn sense. There was one more thing though. I was just thinking about, the trust levels too are also percentage based, So the state has 100% burden to prove to you, quote, Trina objects. Judge says Lori is arguing, but jury will receive instructions on what is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. This points to, as argued by Lori, likely innocent. So according to her statements, Lori's statement that she was not in Arizona at the time of the shooting directly asserts an alibi. It's a shitty one. She also highlights Alex Cox's death, implying that he cannot defend himself, and perhaps that he acted alone, or that her side of the story involving him cannot be fully represented. The fact that she is the only one charged among, quote, several co-conspirators, unquote, also implies selective prosecution or unfair targeting. I agree with that one. Go get them all. Okay. Lori says she does not have to put on any defense, and right, we've seen that proven. The state must prove that she committed an agreement with her brother to murder Brandon. Quote, right now I am innocent. I remain innocent until the state of Arizona shows you enough evidence. Not if they have them, but oh my God. Anyways, that I had anything to do with this alleged crime, unquote. Lori wants them to look carefully and see if this is a crime at all. Quote, did a shooting actually occur? Only Brandon says it did, unquote. Lori says Brandon owned a gun and he knew how to shoot his gun. Let me know when he learned how to body double and then shoot it himself and then whatever. Okay, it just, Lori says Brandon was blaming her for his divorce. I blame Melanie too, but yeah. In the courtroom, Brandon is staring straight ahead at Lori. I don't blame him. So as argued by Lori, she's claiming her innocence. She says Lori directly challenges the fundamental premise of the prosecution's case by questioning whether a shooting actually occurred, stating, quote, only Brandon says it did, unquote. This attempts to cast doubt on Brandon's credibility as a witness. Her mention that Brandon owned a gun and knew how to shoot it, coupled with his blame of her for his divorce, aims to suggest that Brandon might have fabricated the incident and the evidence, I guess, or that his testimony is influenced by animosity, thereby diverting suspicion from herself. Whatever. Lori says Brandon and Detective Pillar were on a first-name basis. Yeah, Brandon was effing traumatized, okay? Traumatized. Quote, I want you to look closely at the motive behind this, unquote. Lori says she's the only person being charged with a crime in this case. Trina objects, and the judge explains the jury's duty to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Lori asks, who is the state? Trina objects for argument. Relevance. Judge sustains. Lori says jury is brought in to stand between. This is that thing where she's like, she asked the jurors the last time when they were doing jury selection that she asked the jurors to protect her from the state. Remember that? This is kind of the same thing. This is Lori needing protecting from everything. Like she's the boy in the bubble or something. It's bizarre. Yeah. So she says, who is the state? Trina objects. Relevance. Judge sustains. Lori says jury is brought in to stand between the state and her. Trina objects. Judge sustains. Jury is confused. No. So as argued by Lori, she's implying a close relationship between Brandon and Detective Pillar. by stating they were on a first name basis, which could be used to suggest bias, okay, or an improper alliance against her. By emphasizing that she is the only person being charged, she further suggests she is being unfairly singled out, despite her claims of other co-conspirators. Lori says the state does not prove that she could. Oh, I'm sorry. Lori says if the state does not prove that she committed a crime, then she remains innocent. Quote, in this case, you will hear a lot of speculation. Remember, that was like whenever Lori and Chad used that attorney. So it had to have been he had to have been referred to them by Ian, because Ian also used Sean Bartholomew as an attorney, turns out. But the initial statements of when the kids were announced as missing, once this moves beyond rumor and speculation, I do remember that certain part, but this reminds me of that. In this case, you will hear a lot of speculation. During this trial, the state will try to convince you I committed this by using speculation and innuendo, unquote. Lori says there is a power struggle. I was like, oh, so you're admitting that you're a control freak? Between the state and the defendant. Trina objects, says Lori is arguing. Sustained. According to Lori, her argument that the state will rely on speculation and innuendo directly challenges the strength of the prosecution's evidence and suggests they lack concrete proof for her involvement. Lori says jury can determine what the facts are. That's what they're for. That's exactly what they do. Anyway, she asked the jurors to listen closely and decide for themselves. Again, when you look up the definition of a juror, that's what they do. And decide for themselves if the state's theory makes logical sense. Not evidentiary. What benefit would I gain? Well, you definitely will not be able to leave prison anyway. So, whatever. She asked. She says she loves all people and has no malice toward anyone. What about zombies? What about evil people? What about people that you look at as being below you, Lori? Okay, because that's who we're really talking about. Okay. Okay, so she loves all people and has no malice toward anyone, not even the prosecutors. That's plural. Plural. Not even the prosecutors who are wrongfully going after her. Trina objects. Judge sustains. Lori says she is all about spreading love. Keep it closed, girl. Oof, nobody wants that. And will continue to do so even after this trial is over. Lori is done. Somebody needs to start over. Like she's, as argued by Lori, Lori asked, what benefit would I gain? Implying a lack of motive for the crime. Her claim of loving all people and having no malice toward anyone attempts to, no one anymore, maybe she should say, attempts to portray her as a benevolent individual, directly countering the image of someone capable of conspiring to murder. And then, let's see, we have a little bit more time. It was disgusting. Your millionaire mother-in-law would have an eternal cow if she knew how against, oh yeah.
Krisha,
Yes.
I have set this video up to redirect to the other one,
Which one?
the one that starts at 11.
You know how to do that?
Well, I looked it up.
I've tried one day and I never could figure it out. So the one that I scheduled, for today after
Yes.
for the trial part, so you said this one that we're doing now, this live stream?
Yeah, so that when we finish, we'll go straight to that one.
Well, how
I'm
will we
not
know
sure.
to turn it on?
Uh-huh.
How will we know how
One
to
of
turn it
us, well, what I'll do is
Oh.
when you get ready to finish this one, I'll go on and start the other one.
Well, if it knows the time, that's interesting. Look, I got to think about that. My head just went.
Well, I hope
Wow.
it works. So I did what
You'll
it said
have
to
to
do.
show
And I
me.
saved it.
Oh my God, you'll have to show me. Because, yeah, I remember being like, what? I don't do good with stream keys and
I know
stuff.
it. We need to go to YouTube. You
No,
know,
I do. I go to
university.
YouTube school streets. I've been in these streets.
Oh
Yeah,
my
DJ
gosh.
says Lori's love has herpes attached to it. Absolutely. That's why she was hunched over, DJ.
My son and I were talking this morning about the case, and I was so surprised that he knew everything about this case because
Well,
he has always been crazy about Tesla cars, and his friend has one. So he knew all about all those things that were going on with it, and the Jeep. But I don't understand how they can get by, and they've all got to be on their P's and Q's to not say it's Tylee's Jeep and have to tell them why Tylee's not there about her Jeep. Because they never say it's Tylee's Jeep. They keep saying it's Charles' Jeep. And
they've always said it's Charles's, which I always wondered why, Oh, there's only 94 likes. What the hell, y'all? No.
exactly.
I'm going to get a clip. I'm going to get a clip. You know how they have Jody Hildebrandt did that video where she's like, come on, I just want you to like the video. I want you to like the... And I'm like, oh my God, I need to play that as a clip just for
I
fun.
know it. We should get some clips of ridiculous things I seen.
Oh, yeah. Palate
And,
cleansers. Yeah, it was in
yes,
Charles.
exactly.
Yep.
And I was thinking to myself that the people that follow you, as we think about the case, to us, Charles Vallow is Uncle Charles. I don't know who else. I mean, the others are talking this, that, and the other, but because you clearly had such love for your Uncle Charles that to me, he's Uncle Charles and he's exactly my age. You know what I'm saying?
And it's your Uncle Charles too. Yeah.
Well, it makes me think about my favorite uncle, or I guess not
Yeah.
necessarily my favorite uncle, but the one that always told the jokes.
Family. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Anyway, and poor little Brandon. Oh my gosh. And that's got to be working against her with the jury, because you could tell that when he realized there was a hole in the side of his car, that somebody was trying to kill him. Up to that point, he didn't know what was going on, But whenever he got out, when that lady said, well, she said it wasn't done by a BB gun, is what she said.
Oh,
this was no BB gun. And and so he said, I have to sit down. I mean, they could tell he was an emotional. And then for her to say it was alleged, maybe he took a tire iron to his own car.
I know. I want to take a tire iron to something.
And y'all, that's $150,000 car. That is the top. That is the top. The X model is the most expensive Tesla you can buy. I mean, you think they must have been, I don't know what these people were doing for money, but they were good at making money.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what. I don't know.
I remember whenever I always said what my dream was for Chad Daybell's property, I would have it mowed down, and then I would have the beams of light put up there for, Tylee and JJ for sure. And I knew that Brandon owned a solar power, a solar company. And I was like, maybe he could put solar panels out there so we wouldn't have to run electricity or whatever. But that was just one of my little things. But I remember him having a solar company. Then him and Melanie also had that Cougar. It was called Cougar something. That was in his and her names, I want to say. And this had to do with the 74-page Mesa, Arizona police report for that, her hacking into his account. Speaking of hackers, right? Hackers gonna hack.
Wow. I mean, I'm just thinking about that. But I have always said this. If you've ever known a narcissist like this, one that's bad like this in real life, everything they say about somebody else is something they have done. If they tell you somebody got out and stole their tomatoes out of their garden, that means they were out at somebody else's garden stealing tomatoes. I'm telling you, I'm not lying about this.
I believe you, fool.
They tell you what they have done.
I believe you, because
true story.
Crap. If I wouldn't have seen it for myself, I would be like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's like they read a book to learn how to do it. You think you have to have a book to make you learn how to follow it, but they all follow exactly. And it's like those cult leaders. cult leaders are narcissists like that. They all follow the same path, and it's not about the doctrine, it's about the way they control the people.
Look, I found that picture, y'all. This is Sunday, December 22nd. So this was 2019. This is the right at the same time that the kids were, but I don't remember it looking like this. It doesn't look like the same Jeep. So that's why I'm like, what? But I remember taking a screenshot.
Well, it does look blue or gray there.
But it doesn't look at all like this.
Yeah.
So, then Jason was like, last night, he said, now what if, taking all those back roads and everything, what if he had gone a flat tire and he would have had to call fix a flat, or I'm just throwing some out there, but because this wouldn't have been there.
Kind of dumb to not just put the tire over there on the passenger side in case you need it. That was stupid, because I've had a Jeep like that, and it's a damn experiment to get the back tire off, to get the windows to open, to haul anything. You just can't haul anything with that tire in the way. You have to, if you're going after something. I mean, I know that from having, mine wasn't that kind of Jeep, but it was a Jeep with a tire on the back, and it was a pain, and it was a special way. You had to lift the glass a certain way and open the thing a certain way. It's crazy. It's just crazy that they, and I listened to that video that you were talking about where Justin Lum interviewed the prosecutor from Idaho, and she explained, she explained why sometimes there's people that you just know in your gut are guilty, but you don't charge them, because she said you got to find more than one connection to make them in the conspiracy. It looks like to me, I mean, like with Chad Daybell and with Melanie, I just don't see any way at all that they did not know what was going on about him going to kill somebody. And also, there's no way that Melanie went up to Idaho for that many days.
Yeah. While her uncle was going to the shooting range every one of those days.
And while the kids are missing, she's like, well, where are JJ and Tyler? For the whole time she was up there, she didn't think to say, where are the kids? She, and whenever, I want to say, on Melanie's rental application, she put, I think it was there. It was either there or the U-Haul. I forget which one. Pretty sure it's the rental, though, where she said that she was going to be a student at BYU. And that's what Lori said for one of the reasons Tylee wasn't there. Can you imagine? And look, right here, Justin Lum says at least one of them or another would engage in conduct constituting the offense. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. At least one of them or another would engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree premeditated murder. Oh, okay. So one of them they move the conspiracy forward. They do something to move that conspiracy forward. I'm just saying to you that Alex could have not shot at Brandon had Melanie not given him the address. Right. It was too new. You couldn't really look it up and found it. That's too new, and it wasn't put out there like that. So is that right there? Well, I think she actually did say that. Trina Kay said that. She said, if not for Melanie Pulowski telling that address to them, they would have not known it. I mean, that's only one, connection that would put her in the conspiracy. I mean, I'm sure there's other things, but that for sure would be one. And Chad helping to get that tire and put it in the thing is one thing that shows that he was involved in it. But she says that just because they knew that they were putting the tire in there doesn't mean that he knew. I mean, I'm sure he did, but that doesn't prove that he knew about it in his brain where he was going with the Jeep. Yeah, exactly. They're not smart, not at all. And luckily, I mean, I never thought they were smart, but
you know, it's like
Well,
when
they
they
thought
always,
they were by
they
the
always
time they
go to
got away with
Walmart, Donna. They always go to Walmart. It's like, let me get my murder kit supplies, you
I'm
know?
gonna use cash so nobody will know it's me.
Right. But watch out, cameras. I'm invisible. I got my invisible shield on
I'll keep the
today.
receipt though so I can turn it in.
Yeah. So dumb. So dumb. So dumb. And we're here for it, right? That's something, yeah, that nobody can say that they are is smart because they not. Are you still there? You got quiet. Ruh-roh.
I was coughing.
Oh,
And
okay.
Brutus is barking now, so I don't know.
Oh, hush. um. Okay, yeah, I'm just sitting here. On September 30th, 2019, the user of the Lolly Time account searched for the word possessed because obviously, right? They're casting out possessed spirits, these evil spirits taking over all their victims' bodies, allegedly, and the body has to die, right? So, yeah, I'm going to Google this on September 30th, 2019. So, possessed, I mean, if that doesn't point to Brandon and how to remove the rear seat of my Jeep Wrangler, that's the same Google searches back to back. The account then accessed a YouTube video showing how to remove the rear seat. It's believed that the group removed the rear seat and tire from the Jeep in order to best use the vehicle in drive-bys. Yeah. 9/25/2019, Alex was confirmed to be in possession of Charles's Jeep Wrangler, Texas plate LWD 0997 in Rexburg, Idaho. Alex took the Jeep to Dan's Window Tinting. Shout out, right? 2551 West 6800 South. I hate their street names. They're very confusing. And had the front windows tinted to 20% and rear windows tinted to 5%. The percentage level relates to the amount of light that passes through the window tinting. I mean, my first husband, he was into lowriders. I know. Lowriders. And so I remember him going through all these phases with the window tinting and all that stuff, dark, and he even tinted the front windshield. And I was like, it made rainbow circles around headlights, like a halo around headlights. And I was like, I can't do this.
My new
But
neighbor owned a hot rod shop, and he has like a 54 two-door coupe over there and a Model T Ford and I don't know what all. But he, yeah, they're my new neighbors, and I went over and met them. And the lady is a true crime fan, and she knew all about the Lori Vallow story. And we had a real good hoot talking about the wheelchair and all that.
Oh my! I never would have thought that, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because most of the time you don't meet a lot of people like of your friends that are true crime fans that you can talk about these things with, but
right.
But it
I
happened
know.
that she knew all about it.
That's why we have these YouTube channels and this community talking in the chat, because where you get this many people talking about the same exact case, it's very rare. It's hard to find. We wouldn't have it without media.
People like some of my friends might think, well, that's crazy, that you're so interested. But I mean, they'll watch a continuing story or a soap opera and talk about that. This is way more interesting, and it's real life.
It's real life, yeah.
It's real things going on. So
it's real people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. After about 11 hours of driving, the Jeep was spotted again westbound. Wait, let me see what's on here. Oh yeah, let me go this way, and then I'll go that way because I'll be going backwards if not. Let's see. Okay, let me go this way. As the investigation unfolded, police seized the Jeep in Rexburg. Not only did police find Cox's DNA in the Jeep, but also gunshot residue around the back window. The Jeep driven by Cox made it back to Rexburg around 4:30 a.m. on October 3rd, 2019. Hours after Cox returned, he and Lori were seen on surveillance cameras removing the single wheel with a tire and a back seat to a Jeep from the storage unit. The Jeep. Hold on, take a sip. The Jeep driven by Cox made it back to Rexburg around, did I just say that? Yep. When Boudreaux drove away, the Jeep followed him briefly, but this is out of order. I'm sorry. When Boudreaux drove away, the Jeep followed him briefly before turning out of the neighborhood. As Cox drove away, he called Chad twice through the burner phones, police said. Communication between the two continued until Cox approached Green River, Utah. Eyewitness account, this is a quote, eyewitness accounts confirmed a dark-colored Jeep Wrangler with a Texas license plate, dark tinted windows, and no wheel affixed to the back was parked idling on the wrong side of the street, immediately west of Brandon's address, unquote, the police report reads. On October 2nd, 2019, Cox's phone searched for directions, I think I went backwards anyways, to Boudreaux's address shortly after 7 a.m. Cox then drove to the address in the Jeep, again, from the temple. He was at the temple when he Googled all that. Cox then drove to the address in the Jeep and stayed outside of Boudreaux's home until 9:17 a.m. Police reports show during that time, Chad and Cox communicated. Sorry. After about 11 hours of driving, the Jeep was spotted again westbound on Interstate 40 near Hallbrook, Arizona, which is about 3 hours northeast of Gilbert. Twice that morning, Alex and Chad made calls between their burner phones, according to police reports. Anyways. That's Tim Ballard. Let's see. I put Jeep. I don't know why Tim Ballard's in Jeeps. Makes you wonder. Oh my God. Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh. What does this say? Oh, this has to do with Tim Ballard's book about the covenant. It's very interesting. And it has to do with Christopher Columbus, which we know that Julie Rowe talked about that too. I thought it interesting yesterday too when Lori said about was it a conspiracy? I forget what word she chose, but she said it's an ancient word or something, and I'm like, what is the deal with the ancient bloodline or the ancient prophets? And I mean, again, if Mormonism is only 200 years old, how the hell do they have ancient prophets? Okay. I mean, maybe I'm dumb, but maybe I'm just not informed, misinformed. Let me know. It's just interesting. I'm reading it. Yeah, this is a big belief, y'all. This is Tim Ballard's book, real quick. To be certain, this book is not about America's ties to the Jewish state called Israel, which was formed by UN edict in 1948, but rather the text harkens back to a period around 720 BC when the northern kingdom of ancient Israel, the 10 tribes, was destroyed and carried away by the Assyrians to the north, the quote unquote north, where they became lost as to their own identities, scattered among the lands and peoples of Western Europe, Great Britain, and Scandinavia. These people inherit through birth and bloodline the right to invoke, quote, the promises made to the fathers, unquote. Y'all, that's some sinister shit right there. I'm telling you. Anyways.
So when you, I'm going to step out of here.
Why?
Well, because we're going to start another streaming about it a little bit.
But I did hear that you were gurgling. Well, a couple times. So are you sure? Because if not, I'll go do it. And that way my internet can carry it.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying?
Very smart. Yes.
Sometimes. Allegedly.
Well, I'm in both windows right now. I'm really testing it, I guess, to be in both studios.
Yeah, let's see if it flips over by itself. That would be really cool. You know?
Yeah. Well, this one has to end for it to go into that.
Oh, okay. 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 All right. So, all right. I'm
So,
picking up what you're putting down now.
so
Okay.
you're going to
So,
go to the other one?
yeah, I got to end it in order for
Okay.
it to roll. And I
Oh,
think
no,
it's,
you go to the other one and I'm going to stay here and end this one in just a
oh,
minute.
okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You go
All
ahead
right.
and start your intro.
I'll see you
Y'all, we're
guys
learning. We're learning
next.
how to
Yeah.
do this,
We're,
y'all.
we're using you as pawns. I'm kidding. We're not. But thanks for being here. And yeah, please hit the like button before you leave today. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. We're going to get aggravated together. Okay. But we're doing it together.
Everybody, what's going to happen is after she opens up the next chat, next studio, y'all automatically go into it without having to change. So she's going to do that one, and I'm going to get out of that other one because I don't want to be in both windows. So I'm here with y'all, and when she gets that one going, then I'm going to send us over there. And if you were to miss getting to go over there, it was let me get that other thing here going. So let's see what is okay. So if I was to get lost from y'all, here's the link where we're going to go to the next one. So Chris is going to start this other one, and I'm waiting for her to start it before I end this one, so it'll go straight into hers. Oh, here we go. Okay, then we'll see y'all over there.